Hey friends, Susan Gregory here, and I wanted to share some things with you about the Daniel Fast, which I'm the author of the Daniel Fast, Feed Your Soul, Strengthen Your Spirit, and Renew Your Body, as well as other books about the Daniel Fast. But a lot of people are getting ready now for the New Year Fast, and before you dive into it, let me just share some things that I think will help you. Now, I've been teaching about the Daniel Fast since 2007, long time now. And I've had the great honor and privilege to really help literally millions of people having a successful fasting experience. But let me share some things first with you. This is the big deal. And if you've been following me for very long, you know that I say this a lot. The Daniel fast and biblical fasting is not about the food. It's not about the food. It's not, just changing the way you eat for a period of time. Now, yes, that's there, and I'll talk about that in a moment. But biblical fasting is a spiritual experience. And yes, it is restricting food. In fact, the definition, the translation of the word fasting in both the Hebrew and the Greek is to restrict food for a spiritual purpose. And so when we restrict the food, it's like putting our whole body, all of who we are, on alert that we are in a different period. And so that's what fasting is. It's like, this is different. We're entering into a different, highly intensive time, focused time with the Lord. Now, there is other kinds of fasting. There's fasting for health, and that can be really great. And that is more about the food. But when you think of entering into a biblical fast, and the Daniel fast specifically, it's not about the food. It's not about how can I can't have this hamburger or I can't have this during the fast, so I'll figure out some other way to satisfy my flesh. Well, we know that the way that we really go deep with God is to crucify the flesh, to quiet ourselves, our ego, and instead yield to Him. And so when you're just trying to figure out how you can continue to feed the flesh, feed those fleshly desires during your Daniel fast, you're really defeating a lot of the purpose and the amazing value of fasting. So that's one thing about the Daniel fast. It's not about the food. And one of the things that I really encourage people to do is to, yes, plan some simple meals. Keep your meals simple so you're not having to spend a lot of time on them. And you know what? It will be hard because we're so used to eating whatever we want when we want it, aren't we? Okay, so that's one thing about the Daniel fast. The other thing is the Daniel fast is a method of fasting. So many people now are getting ready to start the new year with extended prayer and fasting. And they use the Daniel fast as their method of fasting. There's also juice fasts, or there's water-only fasts. But fasting always has to do with restricting food for a spiritual purpose. So you don't fast from television or fast from social media. Now, do you want to abstain? That's the word you want to use for that. Do you want to abstain during that time? Absolutely. And that's a good thing to do. But the Daniel fast is a method of fasting that you can use, and you can use it if you choose to enter into the New Year fast. Now, I always lead a New Year fast with people. I have done it with thousands of people. It's really an exciting, very beautiful, wonderful, miraculous time. Oh my goodness, the experiences people have when they go on the Daniel fast is stunning. The New Year fast starts January 5th. You can find links in the show notes here to learn more about that. But the New Year fast is a time to enter into a quieter time with the Lord. I like to think of fasting as going on a personal retreat, a one-on-one retreat with God. It's when we quiet things down in our lives. Now, one great thing about the Daniel fast, you're not eating for all those days. No, you're eating nourishing foods. You're staying healthy. And you can continue to take, with your responsibilities, continue to fulfill your responsibilities at home or work or whatever you have going. But meanwhile, what are we doing? We are drawing nearer to God when we fast. We are calling Him. The Scripture teaches us, be anxious for nothing, But in everything, with prayer and supplication, make your needs known to God with thanksgiving. So what are we doing? When we fast, we're coming to the Lord. What are the things that you need right now? What are the challenges that you're experiencing right now? What are the desires you have? Do you have a desire to draw near to God? Do you have a desire to learn to pray better? Do you have a desire? There's some needs, some pretty serious needs, and you want to bring them to the Lord. He says, don't worry about anything. Come to me. And so that's what we can do when we enter into this time of extended prayer and fasting. And we use the Daniel fast as that method of fasting. Now, this is something else that's really important to understand. When you fast, you're fasting for you. It is to bring a transformation for you, to bring your needs to the Lord, to interact with Him, to hear His still small voice. Fasting is not to prove your value to God. The only thing, there's only one way to prove your value to God, to your righteousness, and that is through Christ. And He's already done that. If you've already made Christ the Lord of your life, you're done with that. Now, do you want to please God? Absolutely. But if you go on the Daniel fast, if you enter into this method of fasting, and let's say you mess up, let's say you're out and about and you have something that is not allowed on the Daniel fast. Some foods are allowed, others are restricted. I like to consider it like a vegan diet with even more restrictions. So you're not disappointing God. No, this is a time when you look at that and you say, oh my goodness, what did I do? Why did I give in? And you learn from that experience, and then you get right back on track. That's kind of like the way our life is. When we mess up, we don't have to get saved again. No, we learn from it. We get better. We grow. We get stronger. And then we move on with that new information that's available to us. So the Daniel fast is an amazing experience that you can have, an amazing method of fasting. The New Year fast, oh my goodness, what a great way to start the year with extended prayer and fasting. And this is the deal. We live in really challenging times right now. There is so much noise in the world. There's so much going on. People are feeling so distracted, so overwhelmed. And that's why it's so good now to quiet things down and enter into this time of extended prayer and fasting. Learn how you can be more focused on the Lord. Learn how you can develop some routines, how you can come to Him, how you can learn to hear His voice, or learn even greater about that. So I really encourage you to think about, what do you want to do in the new year? Do you want to start the new year with extended prayer and fasting? Do you want to learn more about your faith, more about God, more about yourself? God treasures you. He loves you. He wants the very best for you, and He has so much for you. But what do we need to do? We need to come to Him. We need to present our needs to Him. We need to quiet ourselves, spend some time with Him on a consistent basis, and hear Him. He has so much for us. So I hope this is helpful to you. Keep watching. I'll have more videos in the coming days. But I really hope that this is a time when you say, okay, God, I hear you calling my name to enter into this time with you. The Daniel fast, the New Year fast. Start the new year with extended prayer and fasting. Blessings to you.